Let's look at markets now, and DTN's Todd Holtman joined me this week. Todd tells me that holidays can sometimes bring on some odd price movements in the markets, and this year was no different.
Yeah, oftentimes I try to warn our readers that when we get into these holiday times where volume's low and a lot of people just aren't paying attention, you'll see some kind of shenanigans go on in the market. And that happened again right before Thanksgiving this past week. On Tuesday, we saw Kansas City wheat prices run up a dime. And then the next week or the next day, I should say, they got hit over 20 cents real quickly. Looking at the volume figures, Tuesday's volume was higher than usual, which is unusual for a holiday week, and suggests to me that somebody was pumping things up. We already knew speculators in the market were on the long side of Kansas City wheat. So I think they got everybody leaning long on Tuesday. And then once again, they came in with bigger volume on Wednesday and hit the market sharply. It's kind of a common manipulation type trick that I've seen for years and years in the market. And as you say, it tends to happen during these times when our attention is elsewhere and people aren't paying attention. So a little crazy stuff people don't often talk about, but markets are prone to games.
Okay, Todd, so you covered wheat for us. What are some of the big stories with corn and soybeans that you're following as we head through December?
Well, Troy, as you probably know, it's very unusual to have this high of corn prices and soybean prices shortly after harvest. I mean, this is a time of year we're usually trying to dig out a hole as far as prices are concerned. And here we have corn trading around $4, March around $4.20, and January soybeans around $11.60, $11.65. So what's happened to the market? All of a sudden, China came in as a much larger than expected buyer. It started actually in the summer months and really picked up in the fall. It was a surprise to everybody, especially in this year of coronavirus. We were all concerned that maybe China's demand would be down, but that's not the case. They've been, because of the swine fever situation that they had the past couple years in their hog herd, they've been rebuilding those hogs. They've also been increasing their poultry production aggressively to make up for that pork loss. And those two things, it looks like, have really boosted their demand for our feed grains. There may be some other things going on. And one of the problems with China is it's hard to know what's happening inside the country. It's hard to get reliable information about what's actually happening. But we can look at their domestic prices on the Dalian exchange, and we see corn price very high, above $10 a bushel in China, and soybeans above $15.50 a bushel. So it does look like there is a legitimate shortage of feed grain in that country, and that's really pumped up our exports.
Crazy ride we've been on for sure. Okay, let's keep it international and head to South America real quick. I was reading how the weather Mato Grosso is experiencing is the driest they've seen in over 4 decades. Tell us the ramifications that could have on the soybean market.
Yes, it's been a very tough start. Typically, they get well into their rainy season in September when planting begins, but that got pushed farther ahead this year. And so their planting was later than usual because conditions were so dry. The rainy season did start, it seemed about mid to late October. But even then, the rains that came through haven't really been as plentiful as normal. We're in a situation now where that Mato Grosso province is a real key. It's the #1 producer of soybean state in Brazil. And it's been rather dry there the past few weeks, and their soybeans are starting to get to the flowering stage, so they need moisture. The soybean supply situation right now is legitimately tight. And even if South America has good weather, it's still a very bullish situation. I think the true ending stocks are probably closer to 100 million bushels than USDA's estimate of 190. And in previous times when we've seen ending stocks that low, we're often talking about prices where we could describe beans in the teens or something which sound crazy early this year, but is a very real possibility right now. So then when you add the layer to that of a possible problem of South American weather, it becomes potentially even more bullish. So this will be very interesting in the months ahead for soybeans.
All right, and finally, Todd, we've got lots of folks that are dealing with the best ways to market recently harvested corn. Futures prices are up, as we talked about earlier, and ending stocks are forecast to be lower. Is this the time to think about a new marketing strategy? And if so, what are some things to do?
Yes, well, there certainly are some creative possibilities. Our senior analyst, Dana Mantidi, wrote about one which involves options. Now, I know not everyone's always keen or open to using option strategies. And this particular one, it has to do with buying a put, which gives you downside protection in the market, and also selling a call, which kind of gives you a prearranged sale if you get to a certain higher price. Now, the problem I've had about recommending that in the past is that there is margin requirement involved. And so if the market rallies higher than expected, you can get in a bind there if you're not ready to cover your margin. However, many elevators or co-ops have similar type products that you can find at their cash places where margin requirements not concerned. So that would be a good place to start, asking them about what we call a fence strategy of buying a put or selling a call. In general, though, I'm a firm believer in, we've got great prices at harvest time. Take advantage. I've already recommended selling 75% of the crop, basically just holding that last 25% in case prices get really crazy. And if they do, I think soybeans is the prime candidate possibly this year. But when you don't have to store and pay the storage fees, why not? Let's take advantage of these good prices.